welcome. Over the Top Podcast. It's your boy Big Hank here with the Over the Top Podcast crew. We got the Scarter RJ. How you doing today, Ron?
I'm doing excellent. How you guys doing?
Good. So you also got the Millennial Q. What's going on, Q?
Hey, at the end of the show, I got some beef with how some grown women are treating our young black boys.
Okay. You heard it from him first. Playmaker G, what's the deal, baby?
Hey man, I'm just doing good. I'm doing good. How you doing?
I'm doing great. And the lady of the group, Lady Toya, how you doing, Miss Toya?
I'm hot, yo. It's hot.
It's hot. Hey, it's July, baby. It's hot out here. Out in these streets and in the house, I see. Hey, guys, again, thank you. Thanks for joining us on WDJY 99.1 FM. Also, guys, you can find our podcast on our YouTube channel, Over the Top Podcast YouTube. Also on our Facebook page, Over the Top Podcast Facebook. On our Facebook page, there's a private group. Ask to join. We do a lot of different. We get a lot of different clips on that Facebook page, guys. Kind of keep you informed of what's going on in the community. Kind of help out that way. But again, thanks for joining. We're gonna kick it off. Toya, what we got on deck?
Oh, we gotta ask. I am not prepared. We gotta ask Toya. Tonight's Ask Toya. Dear Toya, peace and blessings, Queen. I am a 62-year-old man, and I have been seeing my queen for 4 years now. She is 18 years younger than me, but we have this amazing relationship. She has never had kids before, and all my kids are grown. We have talked about marriage a lot lately, and I'm really thinking about asking her this year. I was married for almost 30 years, and my wife passed away. My queen has never been married before, and she says she can take it or leave it. It's not a big thing for her, but she does want to live together. I'm old-fashioned, and so I think it's better if we marry. The only problem that I have is that she really wants to have a baby. She says just 1 or 2 if possible, and she wants that baby to be with me. Like I said, I love her, and I want to spend the rest of my life with her. How do I tell her I really don't think it's a good idea for us to have kids at this age? I mean, especially her age. It would be a geriatric pregnancy, and I worry about her. She has lupus and doesn't know if she would have problems getting pregnant or carrying a baby. I know you have 2 beautiful girls, and you always courageously talk about your cancer and lupus journey. Should I just tell her it's not a good idea to have children at this age, especially with her health history? And if you could, please give me some information about how hard it was for you to give birth, if it was at all. I love your show, and thank you in advance. Peace and blessings, Worried Poppy.
Interesting.
And it's very...
RJ, what's your thought? Before I get Toya in the scene, what's your thought?
Man, I understand it. It seems like he really likes the girl and he's really sincere about the relationship. But understanding the dynamics of having children, you need vitality to be able to deal with babies, man. You need vitality and patience. And I can honestly say, having my son, my youngest at 41 has been a task. He's 50 and I'm not moving as well as I once was in my 40s. It's a heck of a thing. Now, I don't know how well he took care of his body, whether he played sports or anything like that. That's definitely something significant that he needs to consider. How vital he's going to be, how well able is he going to be able to entertain and engage that kid, and also meet that child where he is. I think he has a clear understanding. I don't think she's aware of the impact of what's going to happen. And so he has to do a good job of having real conversations with her about the importance of what that undertaking would mean. 60, she 42. That's oh.
G.
I echo everything that Ron just said. I'll add to it that there are other ways that they can care for children. I mean, they don't necessarily have to go through having kids themselves. They can do an adoption. They could do foster if they want to have some of the experience of having a family. But I do think, as Ron alluded to, at 60 plus starting off is a task that I think they really need to discuss and make sure they have some long-term provisions in place in case for the kids' future.
Q, you got what's your take, sir?
First, what I'm gonna say is, when I first read the Ask Toya, it kind of scared me. He said, "I'm 61 and my queen is 18-year-old." And I said, "Whoa, wait a minute." And they said younger. I said, "Oh, okay." Woo. I was about to say, "Whoa, what are we doing here?"
Hey, we do got some superstars. Your boy Al Pacino and his girlfriend
He's
18,
70s.
and he's 70.
He's about to have a baby.
Cause how I read it was, I skipped over. I said 18 years. I skipped over younger. Then I said dating for 4 years, and I said, "Whoa!" And I said, "Whoa again." I had to go back and read the whole sentence. Now, as far as him being 61 and I did the math, her being 44, 44, 40, somewhere in that age range.
42.
That's going to be very difficult, very hard on her body. All other body issues she's had aside, 41 and pregnant is going to be tough. 61 and getting her pregnant is going to be tough. Let alone dealing with 42 and pregnant is going to be tough. Then dealing with 18 more years. Maybe by the time the son ready to go off to college, dad gonna be in a wheelchair. Look, I'm saying adoption is lit. Adoption is right there. That's all I'm saying. Also, it might be a red flag if she's 42 and ain't been married. I understand no kids, but ain't nothing serious at the ripe age of 42.
Be careful.
Be careful, sir. Be very
one
careful.
One out of every 4 black women is only one out of every 4 black men in America is married, sir. 1 out of 4. Be careful now. That thing, life everywhere creeping up on you, sir. But
okay, so I'll say this: at 61, my prime is gone. I don't know if I'm getting married at 61.
So especially married. He was already married.
That's especially after 30 years of already being married. At 61, I mean, my jersey's in the Raptors. I'm dealing with all I can do.
Well,
retire me. I'm going into the Hall of Fame.
Let's skip this for him.
yeah. But no, he got a valid point. And Tori, I say you for last because he asked you some additional questioning that I'm gonna let you air out and then let you handle that. Yeah, we can't touch that. So I feel we get our stuff out the way. So I think both of these guys are in a relationship, but I think their ending goal is two different endings. I think they really love each other, but he's ready to find his wife and they, like Quinn say, ride off in the sunset.
Second wife.
His kids grown. He's been married 30 years. He wants to retire. He wants some stability. So he needs somebody to change his diaper. If need be, she gonna be there to change it. She ain't gonna be able to change his diaper and the baby diaper.
I got a question.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I missed over this in the email in the Ask Toya. Does he have kids?
Yes.
They're grown adults.
Yeah, they adults.
Okay.
So my point is, he's right off in the sunset companionship. She's still in the mindset of building a family type of relationship. So I think both of them are in a good relationship, but I think their reasons are different. I think their motives are different. So I think they got to have that conversation. Plus, I think they need to go to a doctor and see what the doctor says and have that medical conversation. And I don't know, man. 62 starting over. Who we? That's rough. That's
had to,
a rough one now. That's rough.
I shared
That's
this
rough.
one with my to get another woman's opinion because y'all, but I don't think it's that. I think that he is literally concerned about her health and her well-being. He never said he didn't want to have kids. He's concerned about what her body will go through. He never mentioned that he did not want to. I really do believe genuinely he's concerned about what she'll go through, because at the age of 35, if you get pregnant, it is called, and I hate this, a geriatric pregnancy. From 35 up, it's a geriatric pregnancy. I had
That's
three.
a lot.
I had 3 back-to-back geriatric pregnancies. You have to go through more than the average person under the age of 35 when you are pregnant. So you have to go to neonatal, which if you were under the age, you would only have to do that if you had something wrong with the pregnancy. But over 35, it is a must. You go. For me, I had to go every week. Every Tuesday was our trip. Every Tuesday was my injection. And then you do a lot more blood work. You have a lot more tests done. If you are high risk, of course, I'm high risk. You have to check for Down syndrome. You have to check for, well, everybody gets checked for spina bifida. We had that 2-week period where we thought she had spinal bifida. The test came back positive, and then we had to have another test done, and that came back negative. But that was the longest 2 weeks of my life, because they literally ask you, do you want to terminate this pregnancy? Because a lot of people don't want to bring children into the world with where they might not be able to walk or, move their body properly. These are the things that you have to go through. On top of having lupus, which is really hard, really, really hard. And then the other problems you might have getting pregnant. It took a lot to get pregnant. Once you got pregnant, it took a lot to keep a baby. So it doesn't take a lot to get pregnant, Ron, but getting a baby
will take a lot. But Ashley, having a baby may take a little bit.
It does take, and when you have lupus, a lot of women that I know that do have lupus. Now, my thing was the miracle of getting pregnant after doing chemo. A lot of women can't do that. And so that was a blessing for us. But when you have lupus, a lot of women are on bed rest. It is very painful. It is a painful pregnancy. And with Zora, we went and started going into labor at 16 weeks. She tried to get here from 16 weeks. If I didn't have her cerclage, I would have lost her. But she was stitched in. She couldn't come out. So it is hard. I suggest that if the reason is about the health, about her health, or about both of your ages, because, you a little up there. People shouldn't have babies in their 40s. I tell people that all the time. Don't do it.
Wait, what about doing in 60s? No, what about doing in 60s?
In your 60s, no. Your 60s and your 50s. But if you are a lively, older person, if you're healthy,
you're a 40, that's fine. If you're a
because I know 60-year-olds, we always talk about how we're like an old man. I know 60-year and up that are very healthy and very lively and very energetic and like younger women. He might be one of those. That's why he's with a younger woman. But have the conversation with the doctors.
You gotta think about this though. Generations generally going about 20 to 25 years. So when his young person is coming of age, he's gonna be, almost 2.5, 3 generations removed from his child.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
But like we were saying, there are a lot of men in their 70s right now. Al Pacino and what's the other one? Robert De Niro are having babies, and they are in their late 70s.
DC Young Fly Daddy was real old. He said that his daddy was like 60 or 70 something.
Yeah, he did. He said his dad.
and also, like I said,
Abraham was 100 when he had his kid, wasn't it?
And speaking of DC, we know Nick Cannon probably gonna have a couple in his 60s.
He got a vasectomy. He got right.
Did he?
He got right.
Okay. Well, that's
Yeah,
good.
stop
Right.
playing. I don't believe that, man.
Hey,
He was
man,
busting
I
it
just
out,
think
man.
I think that the doctor having a conversation with the doctor, having tests done,
right.
seeing if it's viable, first of all, because I would hate for them to go and say, okay, let's have a baby, and then without doing the necessary work before and then losing a baby.
Right.
Because it's not viable in that system. That immune system is attacking. Lupus is your immune system attacking your body. It's attacking your muscles and your joints and all that stuff. So it is not, it can be easy for some, but it can be hard for others. And a lot of women literally have to have full hysterectomies either before they get to have kids with lupus or right after they have kids with lupus. So you might get one or you might get two, and then you have to have a full hysterectomy because your body has gone through so much. So I wish you luck. And thank you for listening
guys,
to
man.
us.
Prayer to you guys. We wish you guys
Yes, prayers for you. And if you do get married, congratulations. Love is love at any age, Q. And if you don't want to live the rest of your life alone, it doesn't matter how old you are. I'm seeing a lot of older people get married right now.
That's right.
In their 50s and their 60s.
And more power to them.
Toya,
you can find me at Toya, TOIA74@gmail.com, on TikTok at Toya LTOIAEL. You can send your questions there or on my Facebook at Ask Toya on Facebook, and you can send me questions. Appreciate you guys.
Good stuff, guys. Guys, we're gonna jump on this stand your ground law. Sometimes it's called line in the sand or no duty to retreat law. What does provide people with the use of deadly force when they are reasonably believed to be necessary to defend against a certain violent crime? The right of self-defense. Under such law, people have no duty to retreat before using deadly force in self-defense, so long as they are in the place where they are lawfully present. The exact details may vary by jurisdiction. So we're gonna jump in a little early, try to get the panel in early, and so we throughout this one, because there's a lot to unpack. Hey, Playmaker, we're gonna start with you, man. Why do you think this thing? Why do you believe this thing, your ground law, even exists?
I think that there were a lot of about how the self-defense laws were in place. And I think they tried to put this law in place to try to help provide additional guidance about self-defense. But I think that with a lot of the different laws that we have, it created a little bit of a gray area that still leaves some things into question. But I think the original intent was to provide some additional protections to people who were lawfully trying to defend themselves or their property.
Cool. Q, I'm gonna come with you with this one. Do you think this law is the deterrent for murder, or would it encourage someone to kill?
Mix of both. There's some people who use the law as what it was intended to, whereas someone is threatening my life and I want to be able to make it out here and make it home. And there are some people who will take advantage of that law, like how people do take advantage of laws, and go out, antagonize, and then if something happens, hide behind a stand your ground law. Similarly to how people like to hide behind the freedom of speech until it's used against them, or when they're antagonizing, and then when someone fights back, says, "Oh, well, I'll use my freedom of speech." If some people may go out and antagonize, and then when something happens to them and they retaliate and harm someone, kill someone, they say, "Oh, well, it was self-defense." Prime example, Kyle Rittenhouse, when a 17-year-old drove across state lines with an assault rifle. First, if you go across state lines with an assault rifle at 17, first off, that should be illegal alone, but loopholes. And then using stand your ground law when people attacked him when they saw him with the gun. So Yeah, people use loopholes around that law, so it's a
Okay.
mix of both.
Okay. Well, the stand your ground law was associated with 11% increase in monthly firearm homicide rates. This, according to the new study, which is especially striking jumps in southern states, strikingly jumps higher in the southern states that embrace the stand your ground law on early on. That amounts to 700 additional homicides each year. This, according to the public finding on a network opening of peer reviewed medical journal. So, Toy, I'm gonna go with you with this question. Do you believe that this number increased because of the increase of criminal activity, or does this law create a situation that a person feels justified to take up matters in their own hands?
I think it increased because people feel justified to take matters in their own hands. We've seen it a lot, especially during COVID, where in Georgia, the two white guys killed the jogging down the street. So this, it says it itself, 700 additional because of this law each year. That's a lot. And that additional is mostly in Florida because there's always a Florida man. And that's where the law is prevalent at. So people are taking the law into their own hands, and they're standing on that stand your ground law to uphold it and get away with it. That doesn't necessarily, we just saw it with the old man who shot the young boy for knocking on the wrong door. Just because he was Black. And of course, here's an 80-year-old man said he was in fear for his life. Didn't ask, just saw a Black boy on his porch ringing the doorbell, reaching for the door to open it up. Now, he didn't know he was in the wrong place. But, we get shot just for being in the wrong place. And they can get away with it because of the law.
Right. We talk about Florida, and we talk about Florida stand your ground laws has increased both justifiable and unlawful killings, with one study finding a 32% increase in firearm homicide rates. And another analysis shows that 79% of these cases of assaulters could have retreated to avoid the confrontation. All right, Jay, I'm gonna come with you for this one. Do you believe that when given a chance, people just not walking away no more, or are they trying to look? Are they looking for the smoke per se, or not?
I think essentially for me, when I look at stand your ground, I think COVID has played a significant role on the escalation of behaviors. I think people placed in certain environments always are going to have a fight or flight mechanism, right? And I think what effectively ends up happening is stand your ground helps you stay rooted in that fight or flight, so you'll be more prone to fight than flee. Now, here's the thing about the stand your ground law for me. Do we give people a chance to walk away? No. But I seen something today that was really dope. Derek Grace had a video on his channel, and these two gentlemen having a few words. And the one gentleman got out of the car, the other one was already out of his car, and he was ready. But then the brother kind of de-escalated the situation by saying, yo, bro, I was just trying to do this. He kind of explained to him as they started the process. Slowly but surely, they came together and they hugged it out. And they squashed everything. And it was a powerful thing to see it, whereas the violence didn't take place. I think the issue more than anything else is that we don't have any functional conflict resolution skills. We have to develop an understanding, and I'm gonna go back to what I said to y'all. Y'all bleeped it out. It's hard to kill a brother. It's easy to kill I ain't gonna say an N-word. So essentially, there's another part and contributing factor. We don't always look at each other's humanity. You know what I've really been thinking about? And this is a side note, but this is a point I want to make. How fragile life is. And I don't think we understand that at any time the master can call us home. And I don't understand how we don't realize that this moment that we're in will never be repeated. And that present is a gift from the Creator. And so I have to value you above what that argument is at that time. And I think we've lost the ability to have humanity and look at each other in the right frame of mind. Those two men were a great example. And then there's also a clip where his brother, seeing these young people fighting in the hood, came in, broke the conflict up, processed with them, and was able to help them resolve the conflict without any shots being fired. Conflict resolution. We got to man up.
Definitely.
Yeah, and we have to stop. You have to stop pulling out your camera as soon as something starts. Like what happened to, when we were coming up, the fight starts, somebody is right there to break it up, to not let it go further. But now it's just pull out your camera and watch it.
It's a mixed bag, because if that other video of the other view of that video wasn't there for that young man and that woman in Chicago, we're in a different space.
Yeah.
If they don't catch the audio and the video of it and see that this man assaulted this woman in a heinous way, because that was heinous. Like you don't hit a female like that. That disturbed me. Like when I seen it, because when I heard it, I just was like, nah, we don't listen to news to me with a critical ear. I knew it was more to that story than what we were hearing, but I didn't know it was that bad. And when I seen it, I was like, oh man, there's some sucker stuff right here, man. So I'm really hurt at the fact that, one, you would do that to another woman that looks like you. That makes no sense to me.
Right. I think that's one of the things you got to kind of wrap your mind around. Playmaker, you gave me a stat earlier today. We was kind of going over some stuff as far as what are the different states with they stand your ground law. You said something interesting about South Carolina. Do you call the stats of the stand your law in South Carolina? I mean, I ain't mean put on the spot, but I felt that was a point you made there.
It wasn't necessarily a stat. It was basically a law, and I can't remember. And I may be able to pull it up a little bit later or post it into the on the Facebook page. But it's South Carolina and a couple of other states, which if you claim self-defense during a shooting, they won't even take you into custody or take you into jail. They'll basically resolve everything right there. I think there's like 4 or 5 states that have passed that law that if you are involved in a shooting and if it is self-defense and the police believe that it is self-defense, that they won't even take you into custody. They'll just kind of let you go on your merry way.
And the reason I wanted to bring it up, because I thought that was interesting of how lenient and how numb we're becoming to the violence, to the point where we don't even have to process you if you say it's self-defense. I thought that's why I wanted you to bring it up. I didn't mean to put you on the spot, but that's why I wanted you to kind of touch base with it.
So it's 6 states. It's Florida, Kansas, Kentucky, Oklahoma, South Carolina, and Tennessee that have provisions in their self-defense laws that prevent police from even arresting a person who claims they shot someone in self-defense.
There go that Florida again.
That's that Charlemagne the God. Charlemagne always say, man, the craziest people in the world, all the world, are in the Bronx and Florida. Florida is nutting right now.
Always doing something crazy.
But you gotta think about like Florida, man, y'all know low key, Duval County, man, they got shooters down there. You hear me? Them kids get busy. That's scary, man.
Oh yeah, Jacksonville, Florida is woof.
Yeah, they get busy, and they get busy at a drop of a hat. They had a gang war that was a part of them sending diss songs back and forth amongst each other. And, they call the music drill music. But it was crazy. And they were literally writing in the lyrics how they had killed people.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a lot. That's a lot. Florida is.
Go ahead, Ron.
Florida is in the twilight zone right now.
In every sense of it. In every sense.
And when that travel advisory went out, I'm not a big fan of going to Florida for a lot of things anyway. But man, they can have it, man. I ain't crazy about going to Alabama, but I go there before I go to Florida.
Alabama, Mississippi, two different countries. Those are different countries.
Yeah, the southern states, they
no reason to be in Mississippi or Alabama.
I know. Now you have to, and there's nothing wrong with living there if you're from there, guys. Like, we're not picking at your city. Wow. Go vote. Go vote. Go vote. Go vote.
That's what my mother-in-law from Alabama, my father-in-law from Mississippi.
They keep it pushing a little bit. So stand your ground laws. I perpetrate, the decade-long brutalization of Black lives while protecting and promoting the unjust and unwarranted violence in America. The deep synthetic, systematic, and institutional racism that's needed in this disproportionate rates of shooting and homicides in the community of color has dramatically got worse since the stand your ground law has been implemented. Excuse me with the words. I'm kind of slow myself down. Would be all right. So look at this, man. The research showed that in the instance where Black victims is murdered by white shooters, that the shooters is more likely deemed to be justified. The odds of a white person killing a Black person and is being deemed justified is 281% greater than a white person killing another white person. By contrast, a Black person kills a white person is barely half the odds of the homicide being ruled justifiable. Related to when a white person kills another white person, no matter the race of the perpetrator, there are two times more likely deemed to be convicted in a case involving white victims than people of color. Crazy numbers. Q, I'm gonna go with you with this one. By looking at the numbers, is stand your ground law a license to kill?
For a certain demographic.
Okay.
That's all I can say about that one for a certain demographic.
Okay. Gee, if you want to expound, you can, but I'm gonna come with you with this question and keep pushing. Do you think that this law is based on the fear of some white people have of Black people?
I hate to say that the law itself was based off of that. I think the interpretation or the use of the law is, but I don't think that the law itself was created to have a open season on Black people. I think that it's just in certain circumstances, people are abusing the law or trying to take, for lack of a better word, advantage of the law or the loopholes with the law. But I don't think that the lawmakers put it in place to make it open season. I do think that it stresses the need for us to, as you alluded earlier, to get more involved in our in early vote in our local elections and voting to make sure we understand what laws are being passed and if we need to have these things edited or changed or even executed differently, that our voices are being heard from that perspective.
Okay, so I'm gonna come out strip a little bit because we want to talk about a little bit about, when we talk about Florida and the situation with the lady. We got a little time, so we're really good on time. With the gentleman hit the gentleman and the lady got in an argument. I think at the bodega at the store. The gentleman, the mom called the son to bring the gun in the store. The guy punches her and he punches this lady crazy. And the son shoots the guy. Does that fall in that stand your ground law? I mean, what are your thoughts on that whole? We got a few minutes, so what are your thoughts on that whole scenario?
It does. I think it does. I think that the son was protecting his mother. If you see your mother get punched in the face like that, what do? You just stand there and not try to help her? I think it was a lot to ask of a kid to shoot somebody. It was a lot to ask of him, so he has to live with that for the rest of his life. And like people are saying, there are lives lost in this. There's mental health issues that are going to be had, and living in that. And I understand. I was listening to something today. It's like living in Chicago, it's hard. Living in Chicago is hard, and it is a constant, because I think a brother was saying, well, why does she have a gun anyway? Well, how are you supposed to protect yourself if you're living in an area of nonstop violence where you don't know when you're going to be attacked, especially attacked like that for just, if we're just having, and like Ron said, if we can learn how to diffuse the situation and talk our way out of things, or just walk away.
Ron, do you okay, I'm sorry, let me cut you off. You still going?
No, I just think that I think that it was, I do believe it was saying, like I'm protecting. I'm being protected. And so you had to do what you had to do.
Ron, I'm asking you, does it was a couple of men in there, and I think we run into a lot of, and I know it's still a little fresh, but should somebody else have intervened in that scenario? What happened to the village? Is the village still exist, or am I living in my own little bubble?
Hey, essentially, I'll tell you something. Think about this. That's the most recent and clear issue. But him socking that lady like he socked her. Anybody that lived in a village and had wherewithal and a care and understanding would not have assaulted that woman in that fashion. No disrespect to women, but physically, y'all are the weaker sex. So a young man, young men out there, public service announcement, you cannot put your hands on women like that. And so, in all true honesty, the fact that he was murdered is very real. What's crazy to me is the memes and our lack of sensitivity. He went in to get a cheesesteak and he got his wings. Man, what are we talking about, man? Somebody died. Whether it be for his own stupidity, somebody died. I would submit to you this. The question is, have we lost our humanity?
Answer that, Gary. What you think about that playmaker? It put you on the spot. Answer that play. What you think about that playmaker?
So I think we have. I think we talked about this in a previous podcast that after seeing so much violence over and over and over and over again, we become desensitized to it. So it is nothing now to see, because you see people get hit all the time. So if you're standing in a store and you see somebody get hit, unfortunately, you've seen that type of clip on any kind of social media 10 times already. And so it's not as the wow factor is not there anymore, which is, I think, desensitizing us to violence. And I think one of the other things we would be very interested to know, I don't have the stats in front of me, but as the gun laws has changed, I wonder how that impacts the deaths on dealing with stand your ground, because now everybody can have a gun. Basically, everybody can have a gun, and everybody has a gun everywhere. So there's no retreat anymore, because you have everything ready to go right then and there.
Q, I'm coming with you, and how, as a young man, does the stand your ground law make you move differently in the community, that makes you be more of aware, keep your head on a swivel, or what's going on around you, or how do the millennials have to take a look at that? What's your thought?
Yeah. I cannot speak for all millennials. I know some people come from different backgrounds. So I'll say from my point of view, I'm still black in America. My head's on a swivel regardless from everybody, from my own race to other races. My head's always on a swivel. Some people have their head even more on a swivel because of where they live or how they've grown up. So I can't speak for them. For me, my head's always on a swivel, no matter what law gets passed, what law gets taken away.
Okay, so well, I'm gonna ask you this. I'm gonna stay with you, and I'm gonna move off this. I'm gonna stay with you. So how do you, so what's your how do you I guess I might give him a question because I want to give him a broad standpoint. How would you suggest most people in the millennials of your age group? Because those guys that's you see superstars brandishing guns, you see rappers brandishing guns. What's your thoughts on guns and using guns in conflict resolution? How do you deal with that?
I think if you use a gun, there's a 8 out of 10 chance you don't know how to fight.
Okay.
So fighting is a lost art. So, and people are scared to lose fights, so they turn to guns. It's less so about music and more so about how social media, and if you get in a fight, there's gonna be a lot of cameras out. So by their logic, instead of them losing a fight, they'll just take a life and suffer the consequences later.
Pause for a second. What you just said was a negative denominator in the sense that you were shining a light on something, but it's almost like people are waiting for bad stuff to happen. They're catastrophizing.
Oh, yeah,
And then they're creating entity in the thought process. You know, one of the things that made the Panthers dangerous to this country was that they had a collective mindset. They were organized in some ways. And what they had was those foundational principles that would guide what they're doing. We don't have any humanity. We don't have a wherewithal and understanding that we are at a nexus, a crossroads. Man, listen, God coming back and he ain't playing. So, man, it's deep. And I'm sitting here saying I'm struggling. I got a friend of mine's like side note that was really wild. He's really saved, man. We need some type of, and I heard Ghostface Killer say this. He said, man, listen, these kids now don't have any spiritual foundation. Even the kids back in the day had 5% Nation of Islam, Christianity, Buddha, whatever else, but they had access. These and they would get a little bit of it through osmosis, going to church or going to whatever religious gathering. They're not getting that same thing there.
Right.
They're not getting that.
Right. Tori, what else can we do better to protect ourselves and if faced with this situation where we feel like we got to stand our ground? I know, especially from my lady's point of view. What can we do? What can ladies do? What can we do better to protect ourselves to don't fall in that situation like that?
Be packing. No.
Well, I mean, be packing, right?
No, I think we have to, what I've learned, because that Jersey attitude is that Jersey attitude. It doesn't matter what part of Jersey you're from. Just know, like Hugh said, that fighting mentality is that it is just easier. The energy that you save and walking away and not getting involved. Today, I was listening on the phone. My mother was in the car with a friend of mine, and I guess a motorcycle tried to cut her off or whatever. And her, she's from Cali. She's from LA. So, she from Compton. So she ready to ride. And I'm like, oh, you got my mother in the car with you.
Right.
And so mommy's like, oh, she done pulled out the gun. And the guy, I guess, just kept coming. But when he rode by and saw, here you can't point the gun. You can just put it, you could put it on your, in the window. But you can't point it at somebody. But
Right.
he saw that and he rode on. But it's just the fact that that's what we first do, because I've done it too. It's what we first do when our temper goes up, when somebody upsets us, even in just driving.
Right.
And it's just like, slow down and breathe and just let it go. It's like a lot of simple things. I'm not trying to lose my life over you driving erratically.
Right.
And then my mama was in the car. So, I'm like, hey,
Get right.
this precious cargo with you, ma'am. You need to get it right. And she's like, I know I'm doing, the old me would just get out, stop, cut him off. I'm like, God, Lord.
You can't quite do that no more.
It has to do with where we're from, how we react to things. And like I said, like Chicago right now, they're in a war. Detroit is in a war. Certain parts of New York and like Ron said, in Florida, they're in a war. Like, we have to get out of this mentality of we shoot first, ask questions later. That's basically what we're doing. And not only is it happening amongst each other, but we also, like Q said, he's a Black man. I'm a Black woman in America. Anything can happen, and a white person will get away with it.
I have one more question I'm gonna pose. I'm gonna throw it at you, Gary, and I want to hear Ron's response after your response. As men, one of the things as Black men and men in general that we have is big egos. What can we do when faced that to say, okay, and instead of leading with our feelings, letting our egos take advantage? Do you think do you think out of ego or pride, these numbers so high with this stand your ground or not walking away because of pride or ego? And I want Ron to kind of ask that too, but is that a two symptoms of why most of our young men or our men in general can't walk away from situations?
I mean, I definitely think that ego does play a part. I was looking at a clip the other day, and they were talking about a guy walking through the club, accidentally stepping on a person's shoe, and how that became an issue. But the guy said, he didn't want to start a fight or anything. He just wanted the guy to acknowledge that he stepped on his shoe and said, "Excuse me." And I think that a couple of things. I think we have egos. I think we have tempers. I think that there are a lot of things that pour into the mentality that people have nowadays. I think, like Q said earlier, people are just ready for something to happen, and some people are out there looking for opportunity. And then you have people that have so much fear that if you are in their neighborhood, they're on alert because you are in their neighborhood and they're not used to seeing you in your neighborhood. You just have so many different things that are plaguing our community right now. I don't think it's just one thing. I don't think it's egos. I don't think it's PTSS. I don't think it's just people ready to fight. I don't think it's people having a gun. I think it's just a combination of all these things that are just have people on edge and leading to the gun violence we're seeing nowadays.
And with what you run, respond to that, and you got the last question tonight. How important it is to know your stand your ground laws in your particular state. Respond to Nesbitt, respond to Playmaker, then end with that one.
It's always good to be aware and alert about the laws that are present. If you don't know the rules and the laws of the land, the lay of the land, you're gonna be in trouble. But here's what I call it. I call it at level like the upticking of violence and here in America is a direct correlation. The programming that has been presented to the people. Your Fox News, your Newsmaxes, even MSNBC are guilty of fomenting mentalities that dig out positions. And then you have kids that you can't account for in these situations. But I call it like this is my little theory. I call it mass psychosis. I wish I could coin it. When you live in certain environments, you become extremely hypervigilant based upon the violence that is directly linked to you, and it can happen at any time. So when it can happen at any time, you're constantly on edge. And unless you know to move out of those environments, one of the things that makes the neighborhood the hood is economic viability or the lack thereof. And anytime people lack resources, they're going to be a lot more aggressive. Period, point blank. So a lot of what we're seeing is that part. The other part is misinformation in news through certain channels and outlets, and people not being aware that there are different ways to address problems without physical confrontation. The moment you throw a punch, the battle's lost to me. Now it's just about survival.
Facts. Hey guys, great discussion. We will continue this discussion as the community needs it, and as we see how this thing life shapes. We want to stay on top of the key issues in our community going forward. So if we do a show again, you know our community is in crisis, and I think we can be the voice of that reason. So great show. Hey, we can go to the final thoughts. Q, you on deck with the final thoughts, sir. Your final thoughts of the day.
My final thoughts goes out to the grown women who find themselves on camera twerking on these boys. What are we doing here? Madam, that boy is still in middle school. He doesn't have any hair on his chest yet. What? You need to go to jail. And anyone who thinks, oh, it's okay, this is a boy being a boy, you can go to jail too. As a father, I understand, hey, you caught you an older woman. Hey, at that young age, no, let him grow and be a boy. Stop trying to have him be a man at that age. Please don't do that.
Pedophiles come in both sexes, men and female, guys. Be careful out there in these streets. Playmaker, your last word.
I'm going to piggyback once again on something that Ron said earlier. When I heard about the story about the lady and her son in Chicago, and I went to social media to kind of try to find the story and actually see the clip. And the first couple of clips that I saw made it seem like the young teenage kid just acted in violence. They didn't show what had happened to his mom, anything like that. So my last remark is when you're looking at social media and you're looking for information, try to get the complete picture and don't make assumptions just off of partial information.
Facts. Tor, your last word.
My last word is something that should be comforting to that you hear. When God puts a calling on your life, he already factored in your stupidity. And that's just comforting in itself.
That's dope. That's interesting.
Facts. Ron, last word.
Hey man, riding on the road this week, rushing to get my son. Traffic jam. Traffic starts slowing over. I move over to the far lane, and what I see is a mangled body. And I see that mangled body, that young person, and you can clearly see that there were broken bones, and he was face down on the concrete. And all that rushing, I thought deeply about the fact that life is so precious. And some aspects of what we are doing, being so busy at work, being so busy surviving, that we don't truly value the gift of time.
Facts.
So value the gift of time, people.
Facts.
The
Hey,
present.
I'm gonna end like this, guys. We gotta start by becoming our brothers and our sisters' keeper. If you see a situation without causing mental or bodily harm to yourself, that you can intervene to be your brothers or sisters' keeper. We gotta get back to doing that, guys. So, hey, great show, great show. As always, we're gonna continue to make this thing move. And guys, like always, may your next move be the game changer. Peace.